Independent Television.
AIT, sharing the African experience.
And that was a very, very special feature of River State's giant strides. And good morning again. If you are just joining us, it is now time to enlarge it to Focus Nigeria. I mean, having the whole nation in focus away from River State. And we begin on a cheering note. 9 months after he was relieved of his duty as president of the appeal court, Justice Ayola Isa Salami has been reinstated to his position. The National Judicial Council, which had earlier acted on the recommendations of the Justice Auta-led panel and suspended Salami, conferred with President Goodluck Jonathan before officially reinstating him on Thursday. The move to reinstate Salami filtered to the media on Wednesday after a 3-member panel set by the NJC and led by Justice Aloma Mukhtar submitted this report recommending his reinstatement forthwith. This, no doubt, is heartwarming to many, especially since Salami was suspended under controversial circumstances in August last year. So, what now happens to the suit he filed challenging his suspension at the Court of Appeal? It's obviously a question, I guess, most of you will want an answer to. And another question probably is, what happened to all the weighty allegations that eventually led to his suspension? Well, we just begin with the issues with so many questions, particularly even those that border on the sovereignty of Nigeria. Some are of the opinion that nothing will divide us as long as we focus on what unites us. The question now is, what really unites us? Because every part that makes up this entity called Nigeria seems to be united only to achieve one selfish goal or the other. So tell me, with the glaring absence of that patriotic or nationalistic zeal, is it easy to wave aside the pessimistic views of the few that say Nigeria is heading for the rocks? It could be frightening to hear someone talk of Nigeria disintegrating, isn't it? Well, some people seem to be preparing in case the worst happens. Bishop of Lagos West Anglican Diocese, the Right Reverend Dr. Peter Adebiyi, at the 25th anniversary of the death of the late sage Obafemi Awolowo, captured this subtly when he challenged the Yoruba nation on the need for a leader that would unite the Yoruba race. And he even warned that they should prepare for any eventuality that could happen to Nigeria.
Yoruba, I am told, is over 44 million people in Nigeria. This probably shows that the Yoruba is the single largest ethnic group in Nigeria. The Yoruba nation is indeed larger than some other countries in West Africa put together. Why have we now become so weak, incoherent, and divided as a people? To the majority of the Yoruba nation, the main reason for these statements is that we have ceased to seek the good of our nation, but are more concerned with the politics of the stomach of individuals.
But a strong voice of northern extraction emerged on Tuesday while on a congratulatory visit to the governor of Kogi State. Speaker of the House of Representatives, Aminu Tambuwa, said he and his colleagues in the House of Representatives are committed to Nigeria's unity. He stressed that the lower chamber of the National Assembly would do everything possible to improve the standard of living of the ordinary Nigerian. While the average Nigerian awaits the manifestation of these words, many in the northern part of Nigeria have lost their means of livelihood owing to the Boko Haram insurgency. Chairman of the Northern States Chamber of Commerce, Ahmad Rabiu, says the North loses 25 billion naira daily as a result of the insurgency, and Kano State is worse for it. The Arawa youths, obviously tired of the entire situation, have called on the northern governors and leaders to quit if they cannot end the deadly activities of the Boko Haram group. The governors met in Abuja late in the night on Wednesday, but nothing seems to solution to end the insurgency just yet. However, if the calls by Vice President Namadi Sambo is to be heeded, perhaps the end may just well be in sight.
That the terrorist attacks are clearly against all segments of our society, which is uncalled for. I must seize this opportunity to call on all the groups to cease fire and come forward for a dialogue. Government is ready to discuss. History has proven that even wars that are fought for decades, at the end, are only concluded by dialogue. We are moving ahead with the transformation agenda, which is aimed at eliminating poverty, reducing unemployment, and creating wealth to our dear Nigerians. In order to achieve this, we are investing heavily in the power sector and infrastructural and agricultural development in order to provide favorable environment for investment in its resultant value chain.
But would the sect, that is the Boko Haram sect, present itself for dialogue as requested by the Vice President? Yet another question waiting for an answer. All right, with this background, I guess we can now get on with the discussion for the day. And you know what we are taking a look at, like I said earlier, we are going to be taking a look at the structure of Nigeria and the very many sides to it. And we'll just take a look at it and see how many sides it really does have. And what we shall be looking at is the constitutional amendment, focusing on the structure of the Nigerian Federation. Stay tuned. I'll be back shortly.
To govern out of anger or yield to the politics of the moment.
Thank you very much, Focus Nigeria, and we go deep into what we are set to discuss now, and that is the restructuring of the Nigeria Federation, and we are taking a look at the angle of constitutional amendment. Some say it can be achieved through a constitutional amendment. We can really sit down, take a look at the constitution, and see what we can do to use it to restructure Nigeria. Some others believe that there should be a conference. We should sit down at the round table and decide forthwith, and then it becomes what we take away from that conference. Of course, the process of restructuring a nation could indeed take several ways. But let me introduce my guests here who have joined. We have carefully invited legal practitioners, not just legal practitioners, those who have indeed also watched very closely the aspects of the 6th Assembly amending the Constitution. Dr. Kasim Wasiri is of the Faculty of Law at the University of Abuja. Thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you very much.
And I also have Mr. Clement Wankwo, is Director of Policy and Legal Advocacy Center. Thank you very much, Clement, for joining us on the program.
Thank you very much.
Now, I think I should honor the lawyers first, but let us first of all, just 5 minutes, talk about the reinstatement of Ayo Salami. I know all of us heard it yesterday and we read it in the papers this morning. Was this what was expected, Mr. Wankwo? Was it the larger expectation of people, the legal practitioners and the general public?
I think there was an expectation that given how this crisis originated, the first suggestion, and it wasn't just Justice Salami that was involved in this. You had the former Chief Justice as well. And once both of them descended to the point that they did, our call was that both should have been eased out of the judiciary at the time that they were this incident started, because there were lots of issues that came up that questioned the integrity regime, and crippling or removing Justice Salami at the time was aimed at his removal scene, whatever purpose that was, and we questioned that. We think it was completely wrong. We think it based on the independence of the it may have been late that he was recalled, but we must take note of the fact that his removal in the first place for reasons was completely wrong.
Now, have we cured the problems?
The damage already has been done. And that is the danger in development, is where you go with impunity and jump into the arena of the judiciary and mutilate. In fact, Ayo Salami was to be wasted. He was being punished, denied the right, to preside over the own section of the judiciary. And but to God be the glory, all that ends well is well.
And maybe the larger questions will be to all the
I will give you two perspectives to it, two issues. From 1966, from 1960 to see, it's all about conspiracy, either directly, knowingly or unknowingly. And the first conspiracy was felt by other that the British imposed the North
on them.
That was the first conspiracy.
The amalgamation of...
That's
questioning the amalgamation of 1914.
No, questioning the leadership and the election that produced Tafawa Balewa and what have you. Comfort the 1966 coup. Comfort the revenge coup.
The counter coup.
Now, it went on. Now, when Dollar's election was annulled, the Yorubas felt the Southeast conspiracy theory. Now, when the 2011 election came, the Southwest, Southeast, and then the core North. Now, all these conspiracies each other. It has spent on. Are you getting me? It has gotten to the. We have pushed ourselves to the box. But these conspiracies had a fertilizing ground. Leadership was lost. Everybody on top. Are you getting me? It was not about nationalism and leadership. America has since then. More than 200 years of democracy in the U.S. Achievement, huge military achievement. And the Canadians have had to go through the same issues. Done. The British have all of this whole issues related to English, Scottish, and so on. They even had the issues related to the what the British in its own people. The challenges arising from the democracy that was in place between 1960 unto 66, and when Major Kaduna Nzogwu and his group took over. At the time Major Kaduna Nzogwu took over, if you read his speech, his coup speech, he was talking of the 10%ers.
Yes.
Today, with the scam related to subsidy, petroleum subsidy, to pension, to all kinds of scam that is being presided over by the kind of leaders that we have from since independence. You can see that Kaduna Nzogwu's 10% is a child's play compared to what you have today. And that's really what the challenge is for the Nigerian people. It's not about, do I have my local government? It's not about, do I have my own state? Those become what manifest. But in reality, the symptom
is the huge levels of corruption, the nature of unpatriotic leaders we have had since independence. And this includes the Tafawa Balewa, the Zigs, the Awos, and the rest of it. The nature of unpatriotism that we have seen with our leaders remains a major challenge for us as a country.
Now we must deal with the problem. We are getting to a point where the younger ones are beginning to ask questions. The question of where do we go from here? Should we continue in the debate? We have debated since 1914, since 1960. We have had military coups, all of them coming, like Mr. Wankwo said, with the same episode of wrongdoings. And we remain in one place. Now, with what we have now, where currently as we speak, we have a demand for 46 new states in the National Assembly. The politicians have used the barrow to divide the map of Nigeria depending on where they are going to benefit, and they are moving ahead to create more states. So the plan is. And we are talking of a country where so many people are bold enough to say what we are doing will not take us anywhere. Now, what do we really do with the federation? What is the appropriate step to be taken, and where do we take it first?
I think it's a very huge question. But first of all, I must say that I think a lot of our leaders do not even know the level of the rot on ground. We're talking about youth asking questions. Which youth? We are sitting in this country where a 60-year-old has been elected as youth leader in PDP. Which youth group did you hear cry? Go to our universities. Greater percentage of them are into cultism. Ask questions in the class. Who is the Minister of Education? They don't know. They are not aware of their country. They don't know.
Of course, you are a teacher. So
damage is being done onto them. I asked in my class 200 level law. I said, how many of you studied history? About practically 3 or 4 students. So the secondary school has collapsed. The youth do not even know their history. They don't know from where they are coming from. If Clement Wanko is mentioning Tafawa Balewa, a lot of them do not know who is Tafawa Balewa. That is how dangerous it is. So the youth do not even know the damage the ministers are doing onto them. So that when you call them to debate issues of the political economy of the country, they don't know. Then the leaders, when you see them speak, reading speech, you know that they are not aware of the damage, the danger or not. We've moved from corruption to impunity, to lawlessness. Drive on the road, you know that it's lawlessness. Do what you want to do. Take part AIT money tomorrow, Austin, and nothing will happen to you. That is where we are. You enter the ministry, loot, and then they show you on TV. It's now a charity, it's a show. So it's not even a shame now to appear through AFCC that we are in court. It's not more a shame. It's a status symbol.
Are these flows from?
Yes.
Are these factors we are mentioning?
Yes.
Are they all flows from the structure we have?
It's not about structure, because I had this frustration, and I had opportunity. I was discussing with one retired general who happens to be in government before. Who knows? And I said, sir, we were speaking in the Hausa. I said, don't you think it's time for us to sit down and divide this country? Let's go our ways. He said, no, Waziri. He said, the whole problem is leadership. The challenges, the history that Clement gave about the U.S., about Canada, they were challenges like our own.
Yes.
But what solved it? It's leadership. Leadership is missing. We're not talking about people who have even made sectionalism a state policy. Yeah, we're talking about nationalism. It's leadership is missing. It's missing. People, a small person in office is blaring, selling, killing people on the road that is in power. Are you getting it?
No. Let's take it to Mr. Wanko. We have the dangerous trend, and that is the various ethnic groups. Whether you understand them in the language they speak or you don't understand, they are getting ready. They say, let us be circumspective. Let us get ready. In case we don't want Nigeria to disintegrate, but in case it happens, let it not take us unaware. Does this not reduce the attention? Does this itself, the kind of attitude back to the ethnic groups, does it not reduce the attention we should focus on the unity we should have?
You know, I dread the prospect of an Igbo nation. And I think Nigerians should dread the prospect of a Yoruba nation or the prospect of a Hausa Fulani nation. And the reason is simple. I go to my states. and I see what is going on. First of all, there are no local governments because they have never had elections. I look at the state government. I dread it. I go to neighboring states. I dread what I see there because I see the governors simply taking money and not using it for development. And this cuts across the entire 36 states of the Federation and the FCT. Now, how will my lot improve if you were to balkanize and create a Southeast state without addressing the question of corruption, the question of impunity with corruption, the question of lawlessness, the question of absolute power? If any Nigerian imagines that his lot would be any better simply because he carves out a smaller country for himself, then I worry for them. The whole issue of state creation, how did it start? It started as a reaction to the secession by Biafra. And in order to weaken the Biafran state, 12 states were created. And since then, it went up from 12 to 19 and on and on and on, and with more agitations. Yet, none of this has addressed anybody's concerns. So it's not about carving Nigeria into smaller bits. In any case, I don't see how practical it will be. And I don't think we will get to the state where you have a balkanization of Nigeria. This country will be saved. But what needs to be, it needs to be saved not from fear against our brothers and sisters who are Igbos, who are Yorubas, who are Hausa Fulanis, who are Idomas, who are whatever. That's not what we need to be saved from. We need to be saved from our brothers who are Igbos, who are Yorubas, who are Hausa Fulanis, who are in power, who are corrupt, who are stealing against their own people. That's what this country needs to be saved from, not from our brothers of different religions or different ethnic groups. And that's what we as Nigerians, as patriots, should ask the question, how can we get there?
Now, I listened and I read a speech delivered by the Deputy President of the Nigerian Senate, Ike Ekweremadu. And the speech he delivered in faraway Canada, in at a function where Nigerian and Africans were present. And he talked about the need to face the problem of the Nigerian Federation, the problems head on. And he suggested that we should do away, put these 36 states in a basket and come up to the 6 geopolitical zones. And he argued that, and in his words, that the feeding bottle federalism that we are practicing, where the states come to Abuja to suck, and they go back, nothing is going on, will not be solved. And he tied it to resource control, where there can be healthy competition and development in the region, and people will begin to choose leadership based on competence. The 6th geopolitical structure is not a constitutional matter yet, but we have been making use of it in some of our political engagement. Should we go back to the region?
You see, you don't solve problem by creating problem. Like Clement have said, we've reached to a level is to sit down and deal with certain issues because the issues are on ground. You see, one of the problems I have is most of our leaders do not understand the political economy of the country. If anybody is talking about sucking, that sucking, the rate at which is being looted. If there was no other shock absorbers, the country should have collapsed. And what is it? The country is blessed with land, with food. The ordinary people are eating. That's why the leaders are going away with impunity. Look at what food is being produced at and is being consumed in Nigeria because we are fertile land. It is a saving ground for these our leaders. In other rhymes, when you increase the price of bread, you lose your seat. But here you go, you see maize everywhere being eaten. You see cars parked. Both poor and the rich are eating. And when you take water, you go on, life is good. And that is the issue. Going back to 6 geopolitical zones, that is under what arrangement will you sit down to do it? Are you getting me? It's not feasible. We already have our state, but what will make state A and state B viable and give good governance? It's what we are saying. but not creating problem upon existing problem. I do not think that it is feasible.
Is there any, I mean, it may not be like we just pack, and maybe it's laying foundation for some form of dialogue that some persons are suggesting. Is it a card that can be put on the table?
Well, I think there are different configurations running in people's heads, and from Senator Ekwuramadu's position, you can see the fact that he raises. I think he raises the question not. I think he throws up one solution that he thinks addresses the question, which is one: how do you reduce the feasting on what has been described as a national cake? The more states you have, the more officials you appoint, the more commissioners, the more ministers, the more special assistants, the more governors. The more you would see agitations from regions like the Southeast who feel that you need to have parity of states. All these are issues that are thrown up. But the point is well made by the Deputy Senate President, which is really how do you reduce the cost of governance? Yeah. And I think it goes to the question, which I know you will come to, respecting should we have a national discussion on how this goes? And that's something that I think is something we should have some deep reflection, some deep thoughts, and some deep analysis to see the way forward. When you look at the ministers that are appointed, the president says, the constitution says he has to appoint a minister from every state. So you already have 36. Then he says for political reasons he has to have a minister for each geopolitical zone. That takes you to 42. Then you have special interests who are then appointed. So you really have a bloating of it. And
whether they have job to do or they don't have job to do.
The more critical thing is that when you see those who are appointed, they're not appointed because they have expertise in anything. A lot are appointed because you have asked the governor from one state to other states to send their nominees. Now, they can't take example from President Obama, for instance, who, when he was elected, he even had to appoint a state governor because the state governor had special skills that she was bringing on the plate. People were appointed even bipartisan. They were not necessarily Democrats. Some were Republicans that were being appointed. Some of them were even inherited from the previous President Bush. Some were appointed because of what they meant. They kind of changed. He didn't appoint people because they headed Obama re-election committee or Obama election committee. No. They were appointed because they had something to give in terms of skills, in terms of knowledge. And that's why when you see people out, that's why this cabinet, and I'm not restricting it to the Goodluck Jonathan cabinet, the previous ones, they don't deliver. This cabinet hasn't delivered. For 2 days, Abuja was without electricity. There is nobody who would ask in the last day or two who would say that they didn't run generator. And you can count how many billions of dollars running into trillions that have been spent. It is also why you would spend 2.6 trillion naira, which is about 55 or 56% of your national budget, to import petrol. Because the ministers don't have ideas that would say, look, let's find a way to deal with this problem of corruption in the subsidy regime. But more importantly, they have no agenda. If you have programs, you would not devote 28% only of your national budget for capital projects.
That's one that many people are taking. Now, he actually went into the area that we should progress to in discussing this issue. But let's take it to the arena. The National Assembly, as presently constituted, along with the States Assembly, working with the President and the governors, are supposed to be party in constitutional amendments that can give what we call peaceful restructuring, progressive restructuring, and restructuring that can be debated by everybody. But so many people say it cannot work because the effects of the restructuring by constitutional means will actually be negative on those who are doing it, so they will not do the right thing. Should we begin from them?
Well, this word restructuring, I get not to appreciate it much in the Nigerian project. because it's not issue of restructuring. Because by and large, what myself and Clement has been saying, even differently, is all about good, patriotic, intelligent, visionary leadership. And the issues is above constitutionalism. Any kind of constitution, if it is managed by good people, knowledgeable people with wisdom,
will work for the people.
It will work for the people. And you see, when you sit down, but there are certain aspects of the constitution, when I look at it, I get marveled, especially the joint account. That joint account has crippled the third tier of government. That singular provision has crippled
the states and the local government.
It has crippled the local government all over the states because the governors have pocketed the monies. The minister will naively print the local government allocations into the newspapers. Meanwhile, the local government,
supposing that
meanwhile, the local government chairman are kneeling down in front of the governor to beg him give us 10 million this month. And what will 10 million do? They now go and put half of it in their pockets and then share the rest.
Some people talk about horizontal restructuring. Some say it's diagonal restructuring. Maybe that is talking about the
you see, we didn't get to you can't restructure in chaos. Nigeria is in chaos now due to bad leadership. When there is a focused leadership where there is submission, where there is willing full submission, and then patriotism is being re-engineered, then when you now calm the people, you can sit down and say, after we've come this long, there are certain adjustments we need to do if necessary at that time. But in the present situation in which we are, it is a chaotic situation. That it needs
that is painting a very bad picture of Mr. Wankwo, that we are in such a situation we cannot even begin to talk about it or think about it or aspire that we can during, for instance, Jonathan's tenure. Because he has up to 2014, 2015 to go.
Are you serious?
I mean,
I thought the campaign had started.
He has 3 years to go. What Dr. Waziri is saying that we don't even have what is on the ground to begin to talk about this. But we have had the same Nigeria group. We have had the Anthony Nahoro of blessed memory, almost walk to his grave, talking about the need to put Nigeria on a structured structured good ground. Should we not talk about it? Should we not do it? Can we not achieve it under this present, using the constitutional means or whatever, debate or dialogue?
You know, one of the amusing was to hear General Ibrahim Babangida say that we should have a sovereign national conference. And it was amusing because for him, I remember us being in the streets of Lagos, asking the same questions, and we were severely clamped down on. If any government assumes that keeping the status quo protects them ultimately, it's going to be wrong. Jonathan is going to be out of power tomorrow making the same arguments because he hasn't succeeded in doing it, bringing about significant changes. We all thought that President Obasanjo would have done a lot, but he was a complete failure in this regard. Now, the country has serious fundamental questions and serious fundamental problems, including how you manage resources, how you allocate resources, who controls what, the issues related to even the structure and administration of government. These are issues that are still unsettled. Now, how do you settle it? Framework possible to be used to achieve it? I would say yes, if there's political will. It's a sovereign national conference only comes in when those holding the sovereign in trust, because the sovereignty lies in the people. Those who hold the sovereign in trust, when they fail and when they collapse, and as you have seen where the country is headed, we're headed towards collapse because you have a government that has failed to address very basic issues of providing for the people, addressing security, addressing the huge levels of corruption. If the National Assembly and the state legislatures are able to provide the platform and the president is able to support and give the political will to address these issues of getting the local governments to work effectively, address the issue of the huge unprecedented levels of corruption that exist, address the question of how resources are generated and utilized. Because this country, every part of this country is immensely rich. Whether it is in the far north as far as the boundary with Lake Chad, or down south as far as the boundary with Badagry or in Port Harcourt. This country is enormously rich, and it's a question whether those who are in positions to harness the wealth of this country are prepared to do it for the good of the greater lot of the Nigerian people, and that's what is absent.
Now what are the fears? Because I've on my own seen that what the major thing is losing out, losing power. Those who are in authority, afraid of not being relevant as a result of really doing what Mr. Wanko is talking about. Who is afraid, and what is the fear about? In really looking at Nigeria and say, look, this entity cannot work the way it is. We must do something to strengthen our unity. We must do something to strengthen our economy, reduce the corruption, and make the ordinary Nigerian yet unborn to have hope that Nigeria would be made. What are the fears?
What Clement said is one word: political will. People do not have the political will. Those who are in power, those who are entrusted with the sovereignty of our sovereignty. But again, take percentage of the quality of our leaders at all tiers. Take the percentage of the quality, are you getting me?
Leadership quality.
Of leadership quality at all tiers. Then you bring it out and see it, and then you now, that is the fear. No any other fear. You don't have fear if you have security, if you have good governance, if you have access to food, access to education, I get access to shelter and whatever. You don't fear. Any fear is general insecurity. It's not about anybody's security. It's insecurity of life and living. It's the greatest fear that we have. And I thought, if that can be addressed, are you getting me? Through what? Through one means political will by those who are entrusted with that sovereignty. Our fears are gone.
Well, I just will quickly let you know that we'll be going on the terrestrial and our terrestrial transmission. Will be going to take OB transmission, that is outside broadcast transmission. But on our international channel, those who are watching us will continue with the discussion that we have on Focus Nigeria. Now, Mr. Wanko, the problem that is visible, or the problems that are visible, because people say they are actually numerous and many, can be captured in our leadership quality. So if you see it, you can see the fears, you can see the problems. The leadership recruitment question, the political parties that we have, the elections itself, how free and fair, all of them to come together to determine the quality of leaders, the leaders that we have. That also takes me back to his own conclusion that, look, as far as he's concerned, we cannot move ahead with what we have. It's like a dead end for all of us. Do we really stay here? I mean, just stay here and begin to watch. Where do we really take the first step from?
Quite frankly, it's a puzzling situation. Where we are now, what we have today is taking us nowhere. That's the summary of what it is. Unless by some desperate salvation we are able to have the political leadership transmute and become patriotic and become ready to take on these issues frontally. What you do have today are leaders who simply each time calculate how much they have made from the people. They check their bank balances or wherever it is they keep the money and calculate their success based on their personal fortunes rather than on the improvement of the lot of the Nigerian. I don't know how that changes, but that has to change for us to be able to move on to the next level. But as it is, I don't see the political will to bring about change. I don't see the enlightenment enough that exists within the leadership to understand that this country is thinking around it and that they need to elevate themselves and elevate the country to a higher level. But we do know that there is a National Assembly, and that National Assembly, which should understand these issues, need to take these issues and run with it and understand that if you can enthrone better electoral practices and ensure that people get elected not because of the amount of money they have stolen to run the next election, that people can go and cast their votes for those who they know have certain qualities and the sanctity of that vote exists, then maybe we can begin to bring about some kind of enlightened leadership that comes on. Where we fail to do this, and I'm looking at the next elections, 2015, if it's any worse than the elections of 2011, then we might as well say goodbye to what we have today.
That is dangerous. But now, he has quickly mentioned the National Assembly. Oftentimes we look at the president, we look at his cabinet, and maybe we think the president should be the leader. I mean, should come forward with, but the National Assembly can also come up with bills, with kind of proposals like Senator Kweremadu suggested. A lot of things can be done. If the president is not willing, if the cabinet is not willing, the executive is not willing, can the National Assembly indeed take the step?
Well, the National Assembly is the, first of all, most important segment in this democratic rule. If the military strikes, we are going to have the executive, we are going to have the judiciary. And just one action recently, when the fuel crisis came, and the House of Reps sat and brought a committee to probe the oil sector. A lot of professors, a lot of economists do not have an inkling of what is happening in the oil sector. A lot of Nigerians do not know what is happening, what courtesan is happening in the oil sector. But they made us know. And today a lot of issues are coming out. So they have many, it's not through legislation, whatever, they have many functions that they can do in order to, their first work is to checkmate the excesses of the executive. And if they are ready to do it, Nigeria will be better off. And governance will indeed improve. But we are not ready to do this. There's nothing anybody can do. We're into it. But again, there are two issues in leadership. It's not enough to be honest. But if you have to go further to be morally responsible.
Honesty and moral responsibility.
Moral responsibility. So that where a resolution is passed, the president is bound morally, because it's that constitution to make sure that he is first obeys the constitution over and above anybody, because he's the greatest beneficiary of the constitution. So moral obligations must move with you in leadership. It's not enough to be honest. In fact, your honesty will not be complete unless it is backed with morality. And this is where we are. And a lot of people, you call on committees, ministers to come and say anything, National Assembly will call them, they will not come after 3 days coming to apologize when serious issues of corruption is on ground, when people are roaming about the street without food. It's unfortunate.
Now, just before we go, can we put it in a capsule such that we have like those who are agitating for a sovereign national conference, who believe that the only way that you can move out of where this ship that is headed to nowhere, the only way we can redirect it and put it is a national conference. Some say remove the word sovereign, some say let it be sovereign. Now, the national conference is being resisted by those in authority, no doubt about that, because they know where probably to get to. Should we give a window to a conference that is not sovereign to come up with an aggregate of plans, something that can be taken to the National Assembly, to at least massage those who are in authority, that look, we are not asking you to lose your authority or powers just for nothing sake, but these are the reasons.
Well, the fixation about sovereign is something that needs to be put in historical context as well. There is nowhere that worked. And don't forget that the whole issue of sovereign national conference started with most of the French, yes, Central and Western Africa, Zaire, Congo, Benin, Togo. In none of these countries did you have those conferences come to a conclusion. If you remember, in Togo, the president had to disband the body. In Benin, it was disbanded. It was now the French who put pressure on Mathieu Kérékou to agree to some form of arrangement that was even outside of the conference. In Congo, as you know, it never concluded. The civil war escalated. So I would be quite, looking at that history, I would be more comfortable with a national conference that brings in experts and people of particular areas, or who reside in areas, or who are indigenous of areas, to look at the whole gamut of what it is their understanding is of how this country can articulate a document to take it forward. But beyond that, it's also the euphoria, the solemnness of such a conference that would be even more meaningful. The whole targeting of the attitude of the individual to say that this is a new beginning we are going to. This is away from the past of recklessness, of impunity, of recklessness, and this is a new direction, and this is a new moral code that we have defined for ourselves. So that while you may achieve in a document, a legal document that addresses these problems, you also need to capture a moral mind framework that now enables people, enables the society to say if a man has stolen the Commonwealth, he should be ostracized, he should be punished, rather than waiting for the law to become effective enough to catch him.
Well, we have to get ready to go now because the time is up. But let me get the last from you. It is not completely hopeless, is it?
It's not completely hopeless.
So
what is there is, like Professor Ben Nwabweze harshly suggested some other time at the fora, that the country needs a revolution. But revolution comes in different ways.
Yeah.
Today, Jonathan can be the leader of a revolution by changing and by looking at everybody and saying, look, Nigeria first. Be you anybody, Nigeria first. Everybody we came in. Are you getting me? Everybody we came in. Like what he's always been saying is, we need political will. We all know that things are going wrong. And for God's sake, let something come from up and tell the minds of our leaders that when you have billions in your account, we will not do anything to you. Just give good leadership, it is better for you.
Okay. All right. And it's one subject that will definitely continue. And I believe that when we come back next week, we should look at those who are agitating for state creation. Those who believe that they are not close enough to the pie in Abuja, so they cannot cut from it. So they need some states to be created. And when you talk about state creation, some will ask for more local government so that it's spread around. Talking about those who believe that this system should be expanded. But we must end it here. When we come back next week, we'll take a look at another aspect of the restructuring needs of Nigeria, maybe the state creation and going to the region. But I must thank Dr. Kazim Waziri for joining us on the program. Dr. Waziri is on the Faculty of Law, University of Abuja. Thank you very much for joining us. And also, Mr. Clement Wankwo is the Director, Policy and Legal Advocacy Center. Thank you very much for also joining us on the program.
Thank you very much.
We just do hope that you can also, you also join us maybe next week when we open all the other aspects of the debate on the Nigerian situation. Thank you for coming on the program.
Thank you.
And we must thank you out there for investing your time with us on the program. Focus Nigeria. We'll come back on Monday, and when we do, we come with a focus on the topical issues in the polity. My name is Okiri Agbosuremi. Thanks for staying with us.
We've told the military to go to the barracks, and they will remain in the barracks and do their duty as prescribed in the Constitution. In 1992, General Babangida's decree number 38 gave permission for private entrepreneurs to own and operate private broadcast stations. Since then, the industry has continued to expand in strength, in content, in disposition, and even in location. This has created the fora for divergent opinions and viewpoints. We can say with certainty that this created an opportunity for politics to grow and develop in Nigeria, and politics is sine qua non to good governance. For me, as a soldier-turned Democrat, I know that the broadcast media organization definitely helps to promote equity, fairness, justice, and balance in politics. The expansion in the airwaves has further strengthened freedom of speech and deepened democratic institutions in our nation. In addition, the recent Freedom of Information Act is intended to further enable the print and broadcast organizations to operate in line with international best practices. I'm not too sure, but I believe that we have no less than 100 FM stations in the country today, and at least 40 television stations scattered across the length and breadth of this country. This brings me to some very pertinent questions that this summit must address if we want to achieve the result. First, how has broadcasters deployed the advantages associated with broadcasting to further national interest? Have broadcasters in Nigeria contributed to the general good and thus to good governance? Have broadcasters used the enormous powers in their hands to promote democracy, and by promoting democracy, ensuring that there is good governance and that people participate effectively? Do broadcasters understand that the legislature is actually the voice of the people? And if they do, how much airtime have broadcasters given to parliamentary debate? What is the percentage of follow-up or coverage the broadcasters give to the activities of the state and the federal legislature? Are there existing laws that we need to amend to make the industry more result-oriented and more focused? Is covering the activities of lawmakers all about sleaze and political interests and corruption? How have broadcasters assisted government to fight the monster that we're facing at the moment called terrorism, which is in fact digging into the fabric of our nationhood today? And I think it's important that broadcasters address the issue in a manner that will ensure that we are finding a lasting solution to it. And you have the opportunity to do it. Is the fight against corruption just about the legislature? How can the government generate revenue from this industry, very unique industry, where I believe the government can even generate more revenue than the oil that we all focus on? Every time we talk of revenue generation in government, everybody is looking at the oil industry. But I believe that we can generate enough revenue from this. Is the regulatory body, NBC, doing enough to assist the private broadcasting organizations? Should the government operate, own, or run any broadcasting media at all? Or should government simply provide an enabling environment, be it TV or radio? At the moment, the federal government, the state government, they all have radio stations, they all have TV stations. Should they dabble into it or really allow the private organizations to do it? How can government encourage or promote private broadcasting industry in Nigeria? And how can the government assist the private broadcasting organizations in the digitization program before 2015? That is the program at the moment that everybody must go digital. Should people just be allowed to struggle and see whether they can make it or not make it? Or should government really do something to ensure that the private broadcasters make it before 2015? What legislation can the legislature put in place to assist the broadcasting organizations? Can we learn any lessons from organizations like BBC, which in a way is making it, is not owned by the British government, even though I think there is quasi arrangement, but really are there lessons that we can learn? The licensing system at the moment, is it adequate enough, or can we do something else to ensure that these things are properly coordinated? The legislature and broadcasters are partners in a struggle to promote democracy and democratic norms. We are both watchdogs of the society as regards to creating a decent, free and fair society. The key issue that we must determine is the balance between potentially conflicting rights of the broadcaster, the society and the individual. We must continue to seek a balance which on the one hand allows freedom of expression of opinion, but at the same time does not incite people to commit crime, including political insurgence. Wherever the balance is drawn, it is vital that the rules are clear to enable broadcasters, viewers and listeners to know their boundaries and limits. Subject to these rules, broadcasters must have editorial independence to broadcast free from interference or censorship by the state or any regulatory body. There are some key factors which touch on democratic purposes of broadcasting legislation. These are the right of appeal, the right of reply, and the rules on fairness. Broadcasters must therefore have an obligation to be fair and play by the rules. It is generally considered appropriate for broadcasters to be required to offer a prompt right of reply to any person who has been treated unfairly in a program. I'm not a practitioner, but I know that there is an obligation for news to be accurate, objective, and impartial. This perhaps is a crucial issue. Will broadcasters really, who are human beings, be free and fair in what they dish to the public? Is it possible as a human being to be apolitical, completely and neutral in what they give out to the people? It's a crucial area that we must look at and ensure that we do that, because then it will produce a healthy democracy. And a healthy democracy needs a trusted media which can present facts to citizens so that they can reach their own conclusions. It will become exceedingly important for the regulator, I mean the Nigerian Broadcasting Corporation, to ensure a balanced set of views is presented across the broadcasting spectrum. For us politicians, the broadcasting media is a crucial issue in all elections. If your radio station or your TV station is obviously against you, you can know you are starting the race well behind all your other competitors. That is why it is important that they allocate appropriate time to individuals or political parties, particularly during election time. People have lost or won election through the television and the radio, because that's the first place they turn to know what the political parties are saying, to know what the individuals who are contesting elections are saying. And that is where NBC is a crucial element in the whole system of broadcasting. Elections, I'm convinced, are often won or lost in the television, particularly in very advanced democracies. The views, therefore, that people get to know from the television and the radio is very important, and there must be a balance. Another area that I think the broadcasting industry must get across is, because modern broadcasting is intertwined in the potential of the new social media. What happened in the Arab world is a clear example of what the new social media can do. And I think we must take it very seriously. So the broadcasting industry in Nigeria must also take cognizance of that. While the possibilities engendered by the social media are still evolving, the events of Arab Spring are pointers to the strength of the social media. The internet, attendant social media outlets like the Facebook, Twitter, and others have put broadcasting on the front burner of social, political, and economic movements worldwide. But there is need for caution. The uncontrolled access to broadcast on the internet is very worrisome. People with all sorts of ideas make funny posts on the internet and call this news or vital information, thereby putting the hard-earned reputation of many public officials on the line. How then can we separate fact from fiction? Again, this summit must be able to address all those ones. Like I said before, digital technology is in thing now, and if you don't get it, then you have a genuine problem. It is my view that Nigerian broadcasting must synergize using the media to shape production, increase circulation, distribution, and efficiency. This new challenge will also enable the Nigerian media to compete in the global market. Just for your information, the National Assembly is desirous of having their own broadcast channel. For those of you who watch the parliamentary procedure in England, you get it. If you watch, I think C-SPAN, you get the Congress, and the Congress, really, their debate on daily basis. And I think that this summit must address the issue of a channel so that you can watch what your representatives say from time to time. Each country is expected to find the best way of ensuring compliance for the switchover. But arguably, it is my candid opinion that we better appeal to the enthusiasm of the broadcasting industry rather than antagonize them in the digitization exercise. Various regulatory incentives might be considered to entice broadcasters to cooperate through guaranteeing digital spectrum to existing broadcasters, automatically renewing their licenses or granting tax relief. One form or the other, government needs to ensure that the private broadcasting organizations digitize in 2015. But there must be relief, because I'm sure that all of them are operating under a very difficult financial situation. To add that additional burden to them without giving them a relief at all may be driving them to the corner, and that may push them too far. We want the private organizations to survive, and survive well, because if they don't, then they'll look for any means to get whatever they want to survive. And if they do, and they allow one group or one rich man to take over the media house, then you can know exactly what will happen. That will be in our best interest. Before I conclude as the chairman, this is one project that we must get right. We're very fond of certain projects in this country, not getting them right. And the result is that at the end of the day, we build on a very faulty foundation. This one, in the broadcasting industry, we must get it right. The chairman of BON made a lot of very, very cogent points. I think that whatever communique we come up with at the end of this summit, we must make sure that there are issues that we can tackle immediately. Let me give you one final assurance. The legislature will work with BON, with the private media organizations, to ensure that we get it right from the beginning. And whatever we can do in terms of legislation to make sure that we get it right, you can count on our support, you can count on our backing. We want to work with you. Once more, let me thank you, Raymond, my friend and my brother, Chairman, CEO, Dark Communications, who has put me through this. Now, if I don't survive, Raymond, I will hold you responsible. But if I survive, then I will take the glory, not you. I will give you the glory at the end of the day. With these few remarks, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, I want to declare this summit open, and I wish us all the best. Thank you.
Once again, ladies and gentlemen, your hands together for Distinguished Senate President David Mark. Well, I'm very happy that we were able to bring him here, because this is hearing it up. It's giving us the assurance that for the legislature, they will throw their weight behind everything that needs to be done to get things right. Once again, thank you very much for coming, sir. God bless you. Well, I'm not sure you know this, but even if you knew it, let me reiterate it. Let me just say it again, that
the President himself is also a media owner in faraway Benue State,
and that's one commonality he shares with his very good friend, Senator Tunde Ogbeha, who also has a confluence in the conference state. Thank you very much for providing job for people like us. And I said earlier that my sister, who started as a commissioner, is also a media owner. I'm talking about Chris Anyang. Thank you very much, Senator Chris Anyang. Thank you very much for coming. Now, we're going to be going into the next item once I have finished a few more recognitions. Where we must put things right before we settle down to the proper things. Tamini Yusuf, MD CEO, Kaduna State Media Corporation, is here with us. I'd like you to please put your hands together for her. She's the chairman of the Communique Committee. Mr. Toy Ekong, GM RSTV, Port Harcourt, Rivers. Chief Ayodele Sulaiman, veteran broadcaster. And of course, I've seen my colleague and sister from the Garden City, Madeline Tada. Thank you very much for coming. It's a conglomeration of broadcasters, media owners, media personalities, and of course all of us who reach out to our various publics. And that is why you must have seen that I'm getting very much upbeat, because I am operating within my constituency. This is the constituency that has made us, and we'll be very proud to serve our country in any capacity that we're asked to, just as we're doing today. Ladies and gentlemen, there's no gainsaying the fact that the Senate President has given us food for thought. He has given us directions in which to look at, where we're trying to steer our country in the right direction, and working in tandem with our like minds to see that we survive in these very, very precarious times. We know that when we put our heads together, it will all work. Okay, well, I hear that we need to go and sharpen our skills, hone our skills, get a few things to do, then come back after 5 minutes. But let me say that apart from AIT, NTA is also on live with this, and for those of us who also run our programs over the weekend, the whole world would hear this courtesy our own platforms, even if I have to just use this, the BCL Live Show, and of course, BOS International Magazine. We're going to break for 5 and continue with from there. My colleagues are waiting in the wings, Sonny Rabo, and of course, my very good friend, Tony Acuta. We're going to go for a break now, quickly.
Should be a period for celebration of the incoming, the end of the legal year, the beginning of the legal year, then a period also for sober reflection.
We have signed into law several legislations whose implementation will help us provide the service delivery that you expect of us and raise the standard of life.
The Bisiola Killer Show, BOS International.
I'll give you all the finest things in life. You are the angel of my life, the love of my life. I love my baby, that's my baby. I will treat my baby right.
All over the world have made the Bisiola Killer Show, BOS.
Stations of Nigeria, in collaboration with the National Broadcasting Commission, Advertising Practitioner Council of Nigeria, Nigerian Communications Commission, Association of Advertising Agencies of Nigeria, Advertisers Association of Nigeria, Media Independent Practitioners Association of Nigeria, Veteran Broadcasters, and the academia announced the hosting of the first Broadcast Summit in the Federal Republic of Nigeria. See Broadcasting in Nigeria, yesterday, today, and tomorrow, the way forward. Grand Patron, His Excellency Dr. Goodluck Ebele Jonathan, GCFR, President and Commander-in-Chief, Federal Republic of Nigeria. Distinguished Guest of Honor, His Excellency Namandi Sambo, GCON, Vice President, Federal Republic of Nigeria. Chairman of the event, His Excellency Distinguished Senator David Mark, GCON, Senate President. Special Guest of Honor, His Excellency Right Honorable Aminu Tambua, CFR, Speaker, House of Representatives. Guest of Honor, His Excellency Right Honorable Rotimi Chibweke Amechi, Executive Governor, Rivers State, and Chairman, Governors Forum. Chief Host, Mr. Labaro Mako, Honorable Minister, Information and Communication. Special Host, His Excellency Mr. Babatunde Raji Fashola, Executive Governor, Lagos State. Host, Malam Abubakar B. Jijiwa, Director General, Voice of Nigeria, and Chairman, Broadcasting Organizations of Nigeria. Keynote speakers, Aramo Taiwo Alimi, former Director General, Voice of Nigeria, Engineer Yomi Bolaniwa, Director General, National Broadcasting Commission. Discussants, Dr. Tom Adaba, Pioneer, Director General, National Broadcasting Commission, Mr. Lolu Akiumi, Chairman, Advertising Practitioners Council of Nigeria, Dr. Eugene Jua, Executive Vice Chairman, Nigerian Communications Commission. Date, Friday, May 11, 2012. Venue, Harbour Point, 4 Wilmot Point Road, off Amadu Way, Victoria Island, Lagos. Time, 9 a.m. Announcer, Shegun Olale, Executive Secretary, Broadcasting Organizations of Nigeria.
Party.
Look, see, I know they got no longer, so I don't want friendship way longer. With me today, tomorrow I'm stronger.
Time Out with TA. It's the variety comedy show everyone is talking about. Catch your favorite celebrity unwind with TA. It's refreshing, revealing, and ridiculously hilarious.
Stay with me, dear woman, cause you love me, I will be your...
Time Out with TA.
The new month of the new year usually comes with a lot of challenges for so many people. Nigerians are not left behind.
Get the most current updates and business around the globe on The Money Show.
If you look at Nigeria and our people, a lot of people actually plan for the year from January up to December.
by his word. He said, "Let there be light," and the world was illuminated. He spoke through his prophets. Believe the word of God, and ye shall be established. Believe his prophets, and you shall prosper. We still have the prophets. Here comes another moment of prophetic declarations, the word from the divine throne. Destiny encounter. Be blessed as you walk.
It's a beautiful day, a day of glory, and another moment to encounter the Almighty. Welcome to Destiny Encounter. I am Pastor Peter.
We have more in part 1 of Turning Point's exclusive report, Behind the Mask.
So many girls commit suicide in the state because of their loneliness, their emptiness.
But come rain or shine, you'll find prostitutes on sidewalks.
Hello and welcome to Turning Point.
Hello and welcome to the QB Springer Show, sponsored by Rapid Cargo, the show that enables you to be your brand.
Then we will view your elevator pitch online, and the best one chosen each week is shortlisted to win £100 every month.
Motivating.
Let's find one person I would like to say.
Entertaining. Inspiring.
Honestly, you look like you're really enjoying it. Yeah.
Fascinating.
I write, and I write poetry. I used to write poetry.
And sensational.
Why do men cheat?
Celebrities and ordinary people doing extraordinary things. Moments with Mo. Inspiring Africa. By his word. He said, "Let there be light," and the word was illuminated. He spoke through his prophets. Believe the word of God, and ye shall be established. Believe his prophets, and you shall prosper. We still have the prophets. Here comes another moment of prophetic declarations, the word from the divine throne. Destiny encounter. Be blessed as you walk.
It's a beautiful day, a day of glory, in another moment to encounter the Almighty. Welcome to Destiny Encounter. I am Pastor Peter.
We have more in part 1 of Turning Point's exclusive report, Behind the Mask.
So many girls commit suicide in this trade because of their loneliness, their emptiness.
But come rain or shine, you'll find prostitutes on sidewalks.
Hello and welcome to Turning Point.
Hello and welcome to the QB Springer Show, sponsored by Rapid Cargo, the show that enables you to be your brand.
Then we review your elevator pitch online, and the best one chosen each week is shortlisted to win £100 every month.
Motivating.
Let's find one person I would like to say.
Entertaining. Inspiring.
Honestly, you look like you're really enjoying it.
Yeah.
Fascinating.
I write, and I write poetry. I used to write poetry.
And sensational.
Why do men cheat?
Celebrities and ordinary people doing extraordinary things. Moments with Mo. Inspiring Africa.
Serious.
I wanted to avoid it, and I thought of running away.
You thought of doing